Here's Newsy reading the Labor Party blab, saying how caring they are for people that suffer from natural disasters. Really? The same Labor Party under the state government of Queensland decided with the Premier's appeal to put a means test on it. So funding could only go to certain people who are earning less than $48,000 a year and had $6,000 in the bank. People Australia did not donate money to the Premier's appeal for the Premier of Queensland to decide to put in a means test on money and so forth to these victims of floods, Newsy. Under the same government, the Queensland government decided over the last 10 years to stop paying infrastructure insurance on Queensland infrastructure. They decided they were going to save money. Along comes the floods, two of them, 2008 and 2010-11, and here we have massive infrastructure destroyed by natural disaster. And what does our Queensland government that had done previously? Decided to stop paying the infrastructure insurance. So now the people of Australia and other states are going to pay for a stuff up by a state Labor government in Queensland. But Julia Gillard, this is one to call mates helping mates. Yeah, we see that. Labor mates in Canberra helping Labor mates in Queensland because the Labor mates in Queensland stuffed it up. And they also put a means test on the Premier's appeal. Wonderful. Does it now matter that someone who gets their house wiped out, doesn't matter their income, is suddenly cut off from funding from the Premier's appeal because they earn more than $48,000 a year and have more than $6,000 in their bank account? Did the flood suddenly stop at their front door and said, we can't flood here because this man earns $60,000 a year combined income and has $10,000 in his bank? Did the flood suddenly stop there and divert it over to somebody else's property? No, it didn't. No, it didn't, Newsy. So don't come the broad prong with me and saying the Liberals are making money from the floods. Your own Labor Party, Newsy, when the levy was trying to be passed in Parliament, made deals with the Greens. So the Greens would support this area and money was paid to such people like Wilkie and so forth and the Greens to continue green policy that Julia Gillard a week before said was not going to be funded by the Australian government. But to get the votes in the House of Representatives, she needed the Greens and also the Independents to get this bullshit through. So she's made a sweetheart deal with the Greens to retain one power and also to get the levy passed. Isn't that wonderful? If she loses support of the Greens, she loses government. Oh, wonderful, wonderful, great, going Newsy. Another hypocritical bullshit. More of it from the Labor Party. And by the way, it doesn't show that on your Labor Party blog sheet of what happens. God burn it. And as for the levies passed by the Liberal Party over the 10-year period, let's examine three of them. Let's start off with the buyback, guns and so forth. That the Medicare levy was increased by 1% to buy back guns, which the Labor Party supported wholeheartedly. You forgot that one. Also, let's look at Ansett Airlines. A levy was placed in that when Ansett Airlines went bust, that workers for Ansett Airlines received some sort of remuneration, some payment for losing all their hard-earned cash or retirement benefits when Ansett Airlines bust. Are you saying we're not supposed to do that now? Okay, here's another one. East Timor. Are you saying that the Howard government's wrong for putting a levy in there for East Timor, the freedom of East Timor, and that government to exist, when the East Timorese were under suppression of the East Indonesian government for nearly 15 years? Are you saying that's wrong? Good God Almighty. Of course you are, Newsy. You don't like the idea that East Timorese were actually able to free themselves from an oppressive government from Indonesia. You don't like that idea. I'm sure you don't. Because we know Labor wouldn't have done any of this, and they didn't do. From the time of East Timor being invaded by Indonesia during the time of Gough Whitlam, all the way up to Paul Keating. And admittedly, neither did Malcolm Fraser. But you did nothing for 20 years. Nothing. Not a thing. Your Labor Party did bugger all when it came to East Timor. John Howard gets in power. East Timor is freed. We send peacekeepers over East Timor. We had to restructure a whole new government for them, blah, blah, blah. And yet you think that's wrong. Amazing. But, of course, Newsy, I'd expect nothing less from you. I'd expect nothing less. You've tried to make this a political football with the floods in Queensland, cyclone and so forth. And we know that it's us taxpayers who are going to make the shortfalls for the Queensland government stuff-ups. We know what's happening with southeast Queensland water supply and so forth. You should read some of the newspaper reports that's coming up about that. But of course you won't, Newsy, because it puts Anna Bligh and the Labor Party in Queensland in a bad light. Simple. You think that Julia Gillard is really concerned about the people of Queensland. Wrong. We're not buying it up here in Queensland, Newsy. We especially aren't buying Julia Gillard when she came up here to Queensland. Too bad, too sad. Try and get it right next time. Bye.